Would you complain about 2 different cakes at a wedding? Hi, it's Kat Starling, and I like to make doodle videos paired with internet conversation. So let's listen along, unwind, and maybe join me for some doodles. Aita for offering 2 different kinds of cake at our wedding. I want more cake. Give me all the different kinds of cake.
Oh my god, you have cake? Where'd you get cake?
So on the title alone, probably not, but let's continue reading. My husband Josh, 29 male, and I, 27 female, just had our wedding a couple weeks ago, and we mostly got good feedback until today. We have heard a lot of people have been smack talking the cake behind our back. Josh and I originally were going to have a smaller wedding at a resort. We were fortunate enough to be given money to invite extra guests. So we decided to expand the wedding and have some of our second cousins and their kids, and some friends that we otherwise don't get to see as often. We are on a budget, so we decided to keep the fancy cake. The cutting cake for pictures, not the real cake, for immediate family and the pastor, and a few members of the wedding party that we have known for the longest. We gave them the cake in boxes to take home though, so they wouldn't be eating them in front of everyone else. Minus the pastor because he flew out from away, and he is vegan so he couldn't eat the dinner, and we wanted him to have something to eat before it got too late. I'm surprised here because most catering companies accommodate a vegan meal. I'm curious why one was not made up for the pastor. We got a couple of sheet cakes. One was vanilla and buttercream with rosettes. And then there was another sheet cake of pineapple chocolate chunk, especially for Josh's side of the family because they spent a lot of time in Florida. I'm confused. Is pineapple chocolate chunk a Florida thing? So it's not uncommon to have a specialty cake for cutting in pictures and then bring in sheet cakes to feed everyone. But pineapple chocolate chunk is an interesting combination. But hey, I'm an adventurous eater, so I definitely would try it. We found out from talking with the family that there was a lot of full slices left behind on people's plates of the pineapple cake, which the servers would not take home with them. So we noticed you can see it in a lot of pictures. So I know that some places, workers are not allowed to take food home with them, but I'm not sure if that's what she meant here. Maybe she meant the servers didn't clear the cake off the table. In that case, they were probably waiting for people to finish before they cleared the table. But once a cake touches a plate and it's not eaten, it must go in the trash for sanitation reasons. We were having too much fun to notice at the time. We loved catching up with all of our guests. Apparently, Josh's family didn't like the cake like we thought they would, and there have been some unkind words behind our backs. We got a text from Josh's uncle that wasn't meant for us to see, and it really stung. Anyone else think that the text the uncle sent might have not been an accident? We're unsure on where to go from here and what to say. The cake did not go off like we hoped, but we think they are being unnecessarily mean. I agree, they are being kind of mean here. And look, pineapple chocolate was a bad choice, but it sounds like people are just being unkind, gossipy little witches about this. By the way, there was a full dinner, 3 kinds of cheeses, even Monterey Jack available, and an open bar that didn't close until late, so I feel like we were pretty good to our guests on a shoestring budget. TLDR, we gave out 2 different flavors of cake at our wedding. AITA. Okay, so chocolate and pineapple is a uncommon combination of cake flavor, and by your title, it seems like you don't really understand how odd it is. Usually, if you're going for a crowd pleaser, chocolate and/or vanilla cake is the way to go, unless you have people specifically asking for an unusual flavor. Okay, so you said you got a couple of sheet cakes, one of them being the chocolate and pineapple. A full sheet cake can usually feed somewhere between 96 and 192, depending on how you cut it. So you would need at least 90 people telling you that they do in fact really like this flavor combo. So it seems like a big assumption and mistake on your part. However, it does not give people the right to be rude about it. It's been my experience that everyone has something to complain about at a wedding. If they spend a lot of money, it's too expensive. If they spend too little, it's too cheap. And really, I have never been at a wedding where something didn't go wrong, but it's cruel to let it get back to the bride. So let's take a look and see what those comments had to say. Okay, I don't care about any of this, but I am so curious to why you mentioned Monterey Jack by name as some kind of fancy cheese and not something you can buy in any grocery store for like $5. Okay, wait, I missed this. By the way, there was a full dinner, 3 kinds of cheeses, even Monterey Jack. hey, she might just really enjoy Monterey Jack. At first, I thought OP might have meant, quote, in addition to the 2 very fancy, very pungent cheeses we serve, we even got the everyday Monterey Jack so that people who don't care for fancy stuff can enjoy some cheese. But no, the other cheeses were just cheddar and a different cheddar. By the way, people went on and on about this cheese thing.
What happened to all the cheese?
It's one of the top threads, and people are very interested about the whole situation. I guess people just really like their cheese. The real a-hole here is whatever baker agreed to make that mother fudging pineapple chocolate cake, because that sounds absolutely horrendous, skull emoji. Also, I'm sorry, but the cheese comment is hilarious. I can't even call you an a-hole because this is just so surreal. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm surprised the baker didn't suggest just plain chocolate, because even pineapple can be kind of a miss with a crowd. She said in the comments she couldn't choose between a pineapple cake and a chocolate cake. So this monstrosity was her solution to her not being able to make a decision. I feel like at that point, the baker was just done with her. I would like the baker's take on this. If it was a casual, oh, I can't decide, I feel like a baker familiar with weddings would have suggested chocolate to go with the vanilla. But the fact that they made the cake means she probably was a nightmare to work with. Could be. OP could have been convinced that this was such a good idea that the baker tried and could not talk her out of it. I'm actually wondering if the opposite is true. If she was 1, working on a limited budget, and 2, very naive regarding food. And the catering company took advantage of that by making her believe she was serving things that were much more upscale than they in fact are. I can imagine a conversation along the lines of, quote, this cheese tray is nice with sharp cheddar and Swiss, but if you just spend X more, you can also have Monterey Jack as well. About the chocolate pineapple cake, I can see OP trying to decide and the baker not saying a thing when she asked if they could just have both. If it was a grocery store cake, I wouldn't be surprised with it. So I used to work at a grocery store bakery, and let me tell you, they don't have time to care if you're picking weird flavors. They are overworked and underpaid as is. If it was a caterer's baker, I'd be pretty pissed that they didn't guide her better. I feel really sorry for OP and don't consider her an a-hole at all. I believe she had the best of intentions, but didn't receive enough guidance throughout the process. Not just the caterer/baker, but from family, etc. Yeah, I definitely agree here. Wedding planning is a very chaotic time, and if you've never done it before, how would you have known any better? I have heard some people in the business say that they actually skip the cake because most of it gets thrown out anyway. I personally love cake, but probably would have one for just cutting, and then have a large variety of cookies for everyone else. Cookies travel well, box up easily, and they're a crowd pleaser. I don't think the complaints were about you serving sheet cake, which is totally common for weddings, but rather about the flavor combination of chocolate and pineapple. Feels like you made a random choice based off a bizarre assumption of what people eat in Florida. According to my husband, who used to live in Florida, chocolate pineapple is not a Florida thing. Instead of asking the guests you were trying to cater to, it sounds like you served the pineapple cake only to Josh's family instead of asking what they wanted.
Too bad, I thought it was Florida.
Okay, thank you for the clarification because I have never heard of this sort of thing, but I'm not from Florida. You're not an a-hole for having 2 cakes, but if you didn't give your guests an option and then get upset when the cake that you thought they wanted wasn't eaten, then yes, you're the a-hole. Edit, from your comment, it's clear that you decided who got which cake and expected them to trade plates if they weren't happy. So yeah, YTA. I disagree with the YTA because I think she was acting naively more than being an a-hole. But I agree that it was not smart to just assume without asking. I'm going to be laughing at the even Monterey Jack for days, so thank you for that. ESH, you went about this a very strange way. Usually when there are multiple dessert options at a wedding, people get to choose. You could have had servers ask people what they wanted, or serve the cake from a buffet table. Granted, you would have run out of vanilla buttercream anyway because chocolate pineapple is such a strange flavor combination. The problem isn't your flavor choice as much as it is forcing it on your guests. Family sucks because they shouldn't have let their complaining get back to you though. Also, not having a real meal for the pastor was poopy. Caterers offer vegan options. I found this odd too, but it also makes me think that there was no one there with experience guiding her in these decisions. If she had a seasoned friend or family, or even a wedding planner, they would have not let her miss these details, especially with the pastor. Planning a large party style event like a wedding takes a lot of skill, And this is why wedding planners do exist. There was a commenter here that pointed out something. Good point about the lack of meal for the pastor. Edit, also, most cakes are not vegan. OP responded, part of the trouble with the meal is I accidentally said vegetarian instead of vegan to the caterer, and we didn't realize until after the wedding we had crisscrossed the two. Nothing that can be done about it now. I am unsure if I should let the pastor know now. It may have had dairy. Oh my god, yes. You should let any vegan know that you contaminated their food. YTA. OP responds, any idea of how I could word it? I feel awful. I don't want to say something that will make him feel worse. Should I write it as part of the thank you card or email him? Oh no, OP, am I gonna have to hold your hand and tell you everything's gonna be okay? But this is really a
oh, honey
moment. Oh no, don't put it in the thank you card. Like, what is going on here? Dear Pastor, thank you so much for flying all the way here to be with us on our special day. I'm sorry. This is gonna be so hard to read. I'm sorry we were too busy selecting horrendous cakes. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And luxurious cheese options like plain cheddar and even Monterey Jack to bother to remember your dietary restrictions. Oopsies. To be fair, both started with veg. Close enough, right? At least you got to have some cake. P.S. About the cake. I'm dead here. Okay, OP, you're just really naive, where it's bordering on a-hole for being so uninformed. However, I hope you were able to separate some of the good advice found in these comments. And just so everyone knows, someone did respond with a very well-written explanation on how to talk to the pastor. I hope OP took what that commenter said and informed the pastor of her mistake. And as for the people talking crap about the cake, it was a mistake, own it, and move on. And hey, if that was the only thing that went wrong at your wedding, it could have been much worse, as seen by the many examples here on the internet. Would I be the a-hole if I called out my allergic friend for eating her no-no foods? I, 32F, have a friend, Dana, 38F, who has a constantly changing and ever-growing list of things she won't eat. Gluten, dairy, certain spices, nightshade, beans, certain protein isolates, specific thickening agents, and nuts. When I host a party, if there isn't anything totally free of all the things on her list of the week, then she'll refuse to eat at all and kind of pout a little. Kinda sounds like a her problem. No, but JK. But I get it. When you're allergic to a lot of things, it's really nice when other people can consider you and make you something special. However, with an ever-changing and growing list, I can see the frustration on both sides. I take pride in my cooking, and I take pride in being a host who takes care of her guests. It upsets me when I read the label on everything. Some soy sauces are not gluten-free, some dairy substitutes have guar gum, etc. Only to have her announce a new forbidden food that wasn't on her list before. But what grinds my gears more is when I manage to make something she can eat, only for her to take a few small bites before sneaking to the kitchen to eat the regular food. So yeah, I think we need to stop catering to people who are so difficult to please. For example, I completely sanitized my whole kitchen before making her a hypoallergenic pizza, and then put it in an airtight container before making regular pizza for everyone else. When she arrived, she said thank you. She took a slice of her special pizza. One other person asked if they could try hers just to see how it was different, so they also took a slice. The other 6 slices remained untouched. Then, when I got up to use the bathroom during the big game, I saw Dana eating a slice of regular pizza in the kitchen over the sink. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a fuss, and I also had to pee pretty bad. When I came back out of the bathroom, she had rejoined the party. No ill effects were observed. Later, another friend complained of the same thing, spending hours doing research, making the special dish, and then catching Dana eating a Girl Scout cookie. I'm currently making a cake for Dana's birthday. I used to be a pastry chef, and it takes a lot of skill and effort. If I see her eating regular food, would it be a Richard move of me to ask her why she does this? I don't think you should call her out in front of everyone. You should talk to her privately and see what she has to say. If she's a jerk about it, maybe this is a friendship you might want to reevaluate.
Well, this one's on the...
But if she has a genuine conversation with you, and this ever-changing list is because she's still trying to figure it out, maybe you need to stop catering to her and let her bring her own food. With a changing and growing list, it makes it increasingly difficult for you to make her something. And the risk of accidentally giving her something that does make her sick could increase. And honestly, you really don't want to make your friend sick. My advice would be to talk to her privately and explain to her how much effort you put in and the stress that it causes you. So let's take a look at some of these comments. Why are we all catering to Dana? I guess it's the age. Once you hit 40s, you'll have no time for this BS and cut her out completely. I disagree. I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's a breaking the people pleaser behavior thing. And honestly, that can happen at any age. NTA, but please stop cooking her anything special. Just say, oh, I thought you were on allergy meds or something because I see you eating regular food all the time. So I agree you should stop catering to her. However, I think doing this is a little passive aggressive and a great way to escalate a situation unnecessarily. Just tell her that you can't accommodate her allergies anymore and she should bring something she can eat next time. I have a lot of allergies and tend to do this anyway for the peace of mind. You know her dietary restrictions change, and you can't guarantee that something that comes out of your kitchen won't make her sick. You would feel really bad if it did, so it would be for the best if she could bring it herself. No confrontation needed. It would probably be less frustrating if you weren't putting in so much effort. Hiding and scarfing forbidden foods over the sink is eating disordered behavior. If you're close, that might be something to bring up very delicately, but bringing up your frustrations wouldn't be helpful, I think. OP responds, I like this approach. It assumes the best in her and makes the conversation not about me. I've known her for many years, and this really only started happening in the last few. I don't think it's for attention. This commenter brings up some good points. Have her bring her own food because it's safer. And maybe there's more than just allergies going on here. However, I do think you can bring up your own frustrations. Just do it kindly and without accusation.
We need to talk.
Following an allergic incident, I had issues with intolerance. They truly do change from month to month, and sometimes I become exhausted. It has to do with histamine levels and thresholds. So one month I react to chocolate and wine, and the next month I don't. An allergy panel shows me allergic to everything, and my IgE levels are off the charts all the time. It's impossible to follow a diet except for strict elements. I can only try my best to feel things out blindly, i.e. I was on a toast, applesauce, and rice diet and started reacting to the applesauce. I'd never asked someone to cook for me, but there's a reason for weird food behavior that doesn't involve EDs. True, I have a friend who similarly struggles with food allergies, and she finds it a lot easier just to bring her own safe foods everywhere she goes. First of all, it's so nice of her friends to go out of their way to try to make sure that she can participate. Secondly, have a conversation with her privately. Ask her why you have witnessed these things in the past. She may have a willpower problem or something more serious, and maybe she just needs to get some help. Talk to your friend compassionately because we never know what someone may be going through. If she denies it or doesn't know why she does it, you should not feel guilty about saying that you aren't comfortable preparing special foods to meet her needs. Well put. And here's a response from OP. A few other comments have mentioned a possible autoimmune issue, an eating disorder, or other concerns. This makes 1000% more sense to me than my otherwise reasonable pal being a very specific kind of drama llama. I think OP knows their friend best and just needs to have a conversation with them. I have two thoughts here after dealing with a similar situation. She's either faking/exaggerating for attention, or for whatever reason has decided that eating the pizza is worth the risk of diarrhea or whatever happens.
My tummy hurts.
A friend of mine is a pseudo-vegetarian. Basically, she's an omnivore, but always says she sometimes just doesn't want to eat meat, and A, expects people to cater to that, and B, likes the questions and attention she gets after requesting a plant-based food. My cousin is gluten-free, but struggles with snacking and defiantly has devil-may-care days where she eats whatever she wants, upset stomach be damned. In both cases, I've called them out, asked them what the deal is, and told them that I can't always be expected to cater to their needs when they don't even follow them themselves. I'm not going to take better care of someone than they can take care of themselves. Smart. If they don't care, why should I? Next time, save yourself the bother and just pretend something is specially made just for her. But only if you're certain she's attention seeking. Don't ever do this. Even if she might be lying, many people aren't. This girl is one of the reasons why people don't take allergies seriously. Oh my God, never ever lie about the food you are feeding people, even if you think you're certain they are lying for attention. Yes, attention seeking is annoying, but potentially poisoning someone is way worse. I worked at the Cheesecake Factory when the gluten-free fad really exploded. I had so many people telling me they can't eat gluten, acting like they actually had celiac disease, getting me to have the cooks wipe down the prep areas for their food, only to have them eat the brown bread or the cheesecake. Only one cheesecake was gluten-free. I was so over it towards the end of working there, I would purposely not bring out enough forks for the cheesecake when they ordered one, or sprint over and make a big deal about stopping them saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I should have told you there is gluten in this." Oh my God, as someone who has friends with celiac, this makes me so irritated. They get so sick, they have to miss work if they get glutened. Thank you for making a show out of it when they are lying. Because one, if they are telling the truth, and for some reason thought the bread was gluten-free, you're informing them they're about to be very sick. And two, if they are lying, you're embarrassing them, which they deserve.
What the hell is gluten?
Yeah, it's tough when people use allergies for attention because it gives those who really are suffering a bad rap. But I recommend always erring on the side of caution and let them figure out their own food. OP just needs to talk to her friend and stop catering to her ever-changing list. OP edited to add, "Wow, this blew up while I was baking." I don't think my friend of nearly a decade is the drama llama, but I also think it's time I had an open and honest conversation with her about the recent food weirdness. At least the goofy cake turned out well. I think this is a great idea. See what's going on and compromise on what you're willing to make for her. But we have the best news of all. We have an update. Had the hard talk. Found out there are some specific psychological and mental health things going on. It honestly seems like she's pretty embarrassed about it. We figured out some good food strategies that will work better for my culinary need to feed people without making me want to pull my hair out when she stumbles on taking care of herself. For instance, I will always have her favorite mineral water in my fridge as a way to show I'm thinking of her. For food-centric occasions, she will bring along something that she can eat, and also text me a few days ahead of time with her allergist's current working theory about what is making her sick. Oh, wonderful. This is the kind of resolution you want to see happen between friends. I'm sorry to hear that she's struggling with her mental health, and I do hope she finds it out soon. The water sounds like a wonderful solution. So honestly, no a-holes here. I think reading people's stories and experiences is a great opportunity to have discussion about human interaction and emotion. I also enjoy doodling because it's very calming and easily accessible. I hope you found the doodles calming and the stories interesting. Comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're shy, leave an emoji instead. Also, if you feel so inclined, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching till the end. I look forward to reading your guys' thoughts and see you in the next one. Bye!